Welcome into this Big Ten Today. We are presented by Gatorade on this Friday. A ton to get to in the next hour. We mentioned football. We've got lacrosse coming up. We've got softball to talk about, women's basketball, gymnastics. So we will run the gamut. But we are going to start with the softball thanks to a huge matchup this weekend. It's our big story. We got two of the top 6 teams in the country going at it. Number 6 UCLA, number 5 Oregon, a 3-game series starting tonight. The Bruins come in having won 12 straight. They're 40-5. Oregon's been fantastic as well. Winners at 13 of their last 14. They are 39-4, both 12-1 in conference play, tied for first place. And our Gatorade game leader focusing on the Bruins, Megan Grant. She has been great all year, but she has been ridiculous over the last 4 games, hitting 5 homers, 2 grand slams, while accumulating an otherworldly OPS of better than 3,000. For those exploits, Grant honored as the National Player of the Week for the 2nd time in a row. Took some time out of terrorizing pitchers to chat with our Rick Pizzo.
And we are thrilled now to be joined by the 2-time reigning National Player of the Week. Megan, for those of us, and I think this is pretty much everybody, who've never been in the kind of zone that you are in right now, what's the best way to describe the way that you feel when you step to the plate these days?
Honestly, I would call it in the zone. I mean, when we talk about our own UCLA philosophies, we call it in terms of leveling up. And our mantra this year is called aiming higher. And so honestly, just embodying those things throughout the game, it's kind of felt like that. And also using my own keywords, like I always call it butter. Like everything's kind of in a flow right now, and it just feels great.
So a flow, butter, that seems to be kind of the opposite of what people think of when they think of power. You have so much power, but for different hitters, that power comes from different places, different parts of the swing. For you, where does the power come from?
I think it's just a mix of places, from legs to core to you name it, arms. I do a lot of isolation work, so I think that's like kind of my main focus. And then after that, everything kind of all comes together.
From a hitter's perspective, how much does your approach change? I know power hitters and home run hitters say they're never stepping to the plate looking to hit a home run. They're looking for a good pitch that they can drive where they want it. How much does your approach change based on the pitcher that you're facing, the situation of the game, the runners that are on base, all the different variables that can go into each at bat?
Yeah, I think a lot of it depends on the situation and the pitcher. We do a lot of film, as well as our coach's staff really helps us in terms of figuring out a game plan when the runners are in the positions they're in. So that's my main focus. But overall, yeah, it's definitely not all about the home runs for me as much as it shows. It's more about the line drive. So as long as I can hit the ball hard anywhere, that's going to be good for me.
How important is it to be able to enjoy stretches like this, knowing just how fickle success can be at the plate?
No, it's crazy. This game is all about failure in the sense that, you know, you're not going to succeed as much as you think you are. And so I've just tried to stay neutral through it all because the game is ebbing and flowing as it always is. So I always try to just keep my mindset neutral and just focus on the next thing, which is going to be our series this week.
Based on everything except the way that you hit, I'm guessing you're a natural right-hander. Is that true? And then taught yourself how to hit left-handed, or did the left-handed hitting just come naturally?
I was always a natural left-handed hitter. And then always threw righty. I was kind of like ambidextrous even when I was a kid. So I kind of just like, I don't know, I'm always doing things with my left hand still to this day, like eating, brushing my teeth. It just came natural. So the lefty swing, that's all natural.
It's going very well right now at UCLA, but you have more than just collegiate experience. You have international experience. You were part of the Japan All-Star Series, played for the U18 team for Team USA as well. What have those international experiences been like for you?
It has been a great shape of the trajectory of my career. I think with wearing the 3 letters, it means the world to me. And just being able to represent my country and also for the people I play for, it's the highest honor. And every day I step on that field, realizing that that could be my potential and where I want to go in my life. And so I just give it my all for that reason.
Back in that 23 Japan All-Star Series, I believe your teammate Jordan Woolery was also there with you. She hits right in front of you in the lineup. You're both having great years. How much do you feed off each other? How much do you rely on each other?
It's simply an energy, like, between the two of us, and obviously bringing up her name even, like, puts a smile to my face. I mean, Jo is incredible. I mean, just being able to hit behind her, we always say it makes our jobs easier. I mean, we just feed off each other, and even if, sometimes the energy may be, like, a little low, we'll always have each other's backs. So I think that's, like, the main important thing about us too.
I'm told that as a duo, you're known as the Splash Brothers, which sounds kind of familiar to me. Where exactly does that come from as you laugh at the question?
Oh, well, we're both from the Bay Area, and of course, we're both Warriors fans. Shout out to them, won yesterday. Watched that game. That was legit. And so, yeah, that's even where I get my nickname from, Chef, just from Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson. So we kind of just took on that name ourselves with the Splash Sisters.
I love it. Yeah, that was going to be my next question about Steph Curry, because I know you're a huge fan. You share that Chef nickname. But I also understand you were a basketball player before you were a softball player, basketball and baseball, before transitioning into softball. Were you any good at hoops, and why did you eventually make that transition?
So when it comes to basketball, I may have, like, a slight ego. So I'll always say, like, it's my first love. So I always be like, oh, I thought I was going to college for hoops, honestly. But, life didn't pan out that way. I got introduced to softball my 7th grade year, and my travel ball coach saw me play in a couple practices, and he was like, nope, none of that AAU stuff. Basketball's done. Softball is your way of life. And I was like, okay, like, whatever you say. And honestly, it's been the best decision I've ever made. So
do you still remain a basketball fan in terms of college basketball and getting to watch the run that the UCLA team made this year?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, us as a softball team, we just would gather together, watch all the games, and just, I don't know, just be fans of the sport. And just the fact that our team was able to get so far, it was just really cool to see.
Megan, you have a very open personality. I can see that right now in talking with you for the first time. And I'm not surprised, because you've also been open about how important you feel like mental health is and your own mental health journey. Why is that so important to you? Why are you willing to speak publicly about that?
I think a lot of the times the way media is portrayed, it's always about the success of the sport. And as we talked about before, this is a game of failure. And sometimes people tend to be more afraid to open up that side of themselves that, may feel like they can't be able to talk about how they're actually feeling in terms of the sport, but also in terms of life outside of it too. I feel like we all have our equal set of problems, and, sometimes that can get overshadowed by the identity that you may put into the sport. And so I just think, in terms of just me personally, being vulnerable is one of the ways that you can show strength. And so just being able to talk and be open about it, hopefully I can inspire other people to not have to hide their own story, whether that be in softball or in life itself.
So well said. Megan, I do want to finish here, because I'd be remiss not to ask about this weekend series. A monster matchup, two of the hottest teams, not just in the conference, but in the country, as you get set to face Oregon. How much anticipation is there for this weekend's road trip, knowing what's at stake, knowing how much this series matters in both the conference race and when we start to look further and think about the future of the NCAA tournament?
No, we are so excited to just be able to play the next game. Oregon is obviously a competitor team, great staff. And the way we go about it is just one game at a time. And whoever's in the dugout is in the dugout at the time. So we just set our focus on what's next. And we're just overall really excited.
Megan, great to get to know you. Look forward to watching you. Continued success all season long for you and the Bruins. Enjoy the weekend trip up to Eugene. We'll certainly be watching.
Thank you so much.
Again, you can see Grant in action tonight. A top 10 softball battle. Bruins and Ducks beginning that massive series in Eugene. Live coverage begins at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. And remember, Saturday and Sunday's games are on Big Ten Plus. Spring practice winding down this week in East Lansing. Michigan State getting set to enter year 2 under Jonathan Smith after he came over from Oregon State. Came up 1 win shy of a bowl game in his inaugural campaign a season ago, hoping to take a step forward in 2025, starting August the 30th against Western Michigan. And Jonathan Smith joins us now. It is time for our big interview. Coach, appreciate your time. Again, spring practice wrapping up, I guess, tomorrow. Give us a sense of where you feel like your team's made the most progress.
Yeah, I think we've made progress in a lot of different areas. You think about really both sides of the ball. Started with the line of scrimmage. I think in this league, you got to continue to progress and be solid there. I like where we've headed through 14 practices here in the spring at the line of scrimmage. Some of the additions really on both sides, creating some competition there. But we're counting on growth, development in really every spot. And I know we only got a short amount of time, but I feel like throughout spring, every spot gained some depth. Guys are growing and getting better. We feel good about it.
Well, whenever you talk about a football team, there's obviously going to be a ton of focus on the quarterback. It's just the nature of the sport. It's the most important position in the sport. And your offense took some strides last year. You inherited an offense that really struggled the year before. You brought Aiden Childs with you from Oregon State. He certainly had some really good moments. Where have you seen him make the most growth from the end of last season through spring practice this year?
Yeah, he definitely, you talk about moments just because of his athleticism and his talent. He's got some real talent. He can make all the throws and all those things. And so finding ways to, like, when the play's not there, to not make a play worse. I think he's grown in his confidence, timing in regards to this offense, the passing game. And the guys he's throwing it to. There's a comfort level, obviously, with Nick Marsh and some of the new additions. These guys have put a lot of work in, getting on the same page. So Aiden continues to grow, feel really good of the work he's done this spring and heading into having a big summer.
I know you have a new quarterbacks coach in John Boyer, who was at Oregon State, had worked with Brian Lindgren, had worked with Aiden, had worked with you. How big a difference has that made for him?
Yeah, I think it's definitely helped. He had a relationship previous, with John. We'd worked with John for really 5 years back there at Oregon State and does a great job with the quarterbacks, being able to drill down specific are teaching in regards to progression and all that. Lightens the load a little bit for our offensive coordinator, Brian Lindgren. Again, those guys are still tag teaming, but having John to be able to tighten up on any kind of details, specifics. John's a great teacher that way. And knows our offense, has brought some good ideas this spring that we've implemented, because John's been a coordinator before, and so it's been a huge addition for our offense and, particularly the quarterback room.
In general, the NCAA eased the limitations on the number of assistant coaches that could be on a staff, and I know you increased your numbers here in this past offseason. How does that change things in terms of the efficiency and in terms of the coaching and the teaching that you're able to get done in the spring?
Yeah, I think it's a great, rule. It really just takes the handcuffs off of some of your younger coaches that you have. There's a lot of people in the building that can contribute out on the practice field or in the meeting room, and now the handcuffs are off. And so the efficiencies of helping really younger coaches continue to develop, allowing for more voices, more ideas in really all, both sides of the ball, each position group having really two people partnering to run that room. I think it's been great.
I want to ask you a little bit about your running back group, and you talked about the offensive line, and of course that impacts Aiden, it impacts the wide receivers, it impacts the running backs as well. But you lost Nate Carter, you lost K'Ron Lynch-Adams. Those were your two top runners from a year ago in terms of yardage. Aiden would be your leading returning rusher. So give us a sense for that room. I know you made one pretty significant addition. You got some young guys you like. How's that all fitting together?
Yeah, we do. It was pretty competitive, and it's still going in regards to that room, because we've got really 5 guys in the room that we feel like we got some talent. We're on the younger side. I mean, with 2 true freshmen came along with 2 other backs that are in their second year, and then bringing Elijah in, having some experience at a different place. So we feel like we've got some talent in that room. It's pretty competitive and earning these carries, and where that where that goes. But right now, it's a kind of by committee until one can, kind of separates himself, and we got some time till that takes place. But we feel good about the talent, and that's going to be an important room, because we do want to have some balance on offense, and running the football is vitally important.
And going back to kind of your initial answer, when I asked you about areas that you thought you had improved and that needed improving, you went to the lines of scrimmage. So I feel like we've talked a little bit about the offense. How about the defensive line? It was a little bit of a weird year last year in terms of pressuring the quarterback. You got off of that hot start, then you went a half dozen games without a sack. And then at the end of the year, it felt like maybe you guys figured it out a little bit and got some more pressure on the quarterback. And I know it's not simply a function of the defensive line, but you had expressed through the course of the year you felt like you needed to be better on the defensive front. What did you see in the spring, and what could Spartan fans expect there?
Yeah, we've got some guys that have taken a step. Jalen Thompson's had a great spring, because you need to be able to affect the passer, and it can't just all come from blitzing the guy. And we feel like we've got some depth in that room to be able to rotate, keep these guys fresh. They can go hard for multiple snaps and then be able to feel confident come out, because we got another guy to get in the game. Rucron Buckley has had a good spring. Ben Roberts is a guy that can be around it. Quindarius Dunnigan, again, another returning player, played a lot for us last year, has taken a step in his game. So it's by a group that we feel like we're going to be able to stay fresh, and we need to be able to get up around the quarterback. When we don't, just call pressure.
I'm going to leave you with this, Coach, kind of big picture. This was your first year in the Big Ten. It was interesting. It was your first year coaching in the Midwest at all. You had been a West Coast guy throughout your career, including your time as a high schooler and as a player in college at Oregon State. So what did you learn about the Big Ten in year one that you think might help you as you move forward?
Well, you definitely learn a ton, right, in year one, in a lot of different areas, that, pride, tradition, passion of the Big Ten and that football, being able to experience for a year. It was great, but also knowing that what this league entails. This thing is competitive, physical on both sides. We got some elite coaches. I think some skilled players in this league that are talented as all get out. And so you learn what it looks like and where you got to take steps in your own roster, your own schemes. But feel good that we're ready to do that. After learning in year one, experiencing, did some good things, some things we got to do better. We've emphasizing those, and feel good that, going into year two, we're going to be better in a lot of areas. Well, really looking forward to seeing the Spartans in action coming up here this fall. I know things are really busy this time of year, particularly with that critical final practice coming up tomorrow. Really appreciate you taking out some time. Thanks, Coach. Yeah, always great joining you, Dave. Thanks. Earlier this month in Indy, Minnesota, bringing home the WBIT championship, topping Belmont 75-63 behind Trinity MVP Tori McKinney's career-high 26 points. Gophers finished the season with 25 wins, became the second straight Big Ten team to capture the WBIT following Illinois, which won the inaugural tourney last year. Here's head coach Don Plitzuweit with Kylan Mills.
Coach, great to see you. Pretty good start to the month of April. Your group winning the second ever WBIT championship. What did you see from your team during that postseason run?
Well, I thought our young ladies competed at an incredibly high level, had a chance to do it on the road, had a chance to do it at home, and then on a neutral site. So any opportunity you have to play in a single elimination tournament and advance and get to a championship is really, really special. And I thought our young ladies capitalized on that opportunity.
One player who definitely capitalized in the title game against Belmont was freshman Tori McKinney, leading your team with a career-high 26 points plus 3 steals. What impressed you about her growth throughout the season?
Well, Tori is someone who plays with an incredible amount of urgency. She plays so hard. She plays so fast. And what I thought she did during that championship game especially was she slowed down a little bit and let the game just kind of happen naturally and didn't force anything and, and kept herself in the game for the most part, not too much foul trouble. So the game started to slow down a little bit, and I thought she was just having so much fun. Now, if you watch her halftime interview, she still talked as fast as ever. So she does play fast, talk fast, does a lot of things with that urgency level.
But she had some good answers during the halftime interview. I did catch that. It's on social media. Great stuff from her. Now, as you zoom out and look at this entire season, your Gophers get 25 wins for the first time in 20 years for this program. You do all of that after losing your leading scorer, Mara Braun, just 5 games into the season. What did you see from your group in terms of overcoming that adversity and maintaining focus as the season progressed?
Well, it's a great question. And I think when I go back and I look at our season from the beginning to the last game, just the overcoming all the adversity that our young ladies overcame, from Mara's injury to Taylor Woodson's injury, to then we had different stretches with the flu or some different virus where we're not really sure who's in practice, who's not. And I just think, and then the challenge of the new schedule and all those type of things, I thought our young ladies really continued to get better and played our best basketball as the end of the season was upon us. And I think that is really a tribute to our young ladies and their character and their toughness and their resilience.
Well, the good news is most of your players, or at least a good portion of your core, are coming back next season. They're not going anywhere. When you look at Amaya Battle, we already mentioned Mara, Mallory Heyer, Grace Graholski. What are you looking forward to most, and what do you feel like the ceiling is for this group looking ahead to next year?
Well, I think our young ladies understand now at an even higher level the urgency, the relentlessness, the discipline, all those type of things that it takes to be successful in this now biggest, best conference, I think, ever in the history of college women's basketball. And I feel confident saying that when you look at this year in the Big Ten. I think there were 13 teams in the top 45 of the net, 12 of them in the NCAA tournament. We were fortunate to go on, advance, and win the WBIT. So you look at that, it's the most ever in the history of college women's basketball. So I think our players, I'm excited because I think we understand at a whole nother level what this looks like. And I really, truly believe that our players are very hungry to continue to get better.
Yeah, you mentioned the new landscape, not just the expanded conference, but the transfer portal has been chaotic these last couple weeks since it opened. What is the offseason like for you? Like, what's next on the agenda after winning that WBIT championship? Because there's no rest anymore for head coaches.
Well, there's really not. There is no off season really, except that there's a different type of busyness. Now, instead of our busyness being game prep and practice prep, it is trying to find the right players to come join our program. And that's something that, you know, we spend a lot of time really in researching and getting to know the young ladies to make sure that our culture stays exactly where we want it to stay and continue to grow and continue to get better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course, totally makes sense. And I know looking at the person is just as important as looking at the player for a lot of head coaches like yourself. 2 years for you now under your belt at the helm of this Minnesota program. What piece do you feel like fell in place in terms of building what you want to build at Minnesota? Like, where do you feel like this group took a step forward this season?
Well, I thought last year our first year when Mara was injured, we had different players step up and play at a higher level. I thought this current year, when we faced that same type of adversity, I think those players were more experienced. And I think, again, continued to get better as the season wore on. I look specifically at Mallory Heyer. Her last 2 games, we're watching her in the semifinal and the championship game, snagging 15, 16 rebounds. You know, Amaya Battle in our come-from-behind victory against Gonzaga had 35 points and 10 assists. You know, so I just think that our players who have been with us have continued to grow and develop, and that's just 2 examples. So there's certainly a lot more than that. But I think our players are continuing to get better, and that's what's really exciting. And I think that continued growth and the excitement and the energy and the hunger to continue to get better is something that's really important for us.
You got a feel for Mara dealing with a broken foot back-to-back seasons. Just curious, how's the recovery process going? What are the latest conversations you've had with her?
Right. Yes. And extremely. You're not going to find someone who loves basketball more than Mara Braun, or someone who competes harder, puts in more time. And so for her to not be able to compete in the last 2 seasons the way she wants to is just heartbreaking for that young lady. Now, with that said, I think she has great faith and great conviction. You know, she's been working her tail off. She's in a spot right now where I think she's very, very close. We're going to get some more testing done within the next week and, you know, see where she's at. But, you know, she feels really good. She looks really good. I know the last few weeks in practice when she was in there passing or maybe getting a couple shots in on her own. I thought, man, she looks really good. It'd be really fun to have her back out here. So excited to have her back next season with us.
Coach, that's quite the tease. We're very excited to see her back on the floor. Really quickly, before I let you go, now you just won a championship, so I have an idea of what this answer might be, but what was your favorite memory from this year's team? Is there a story or anecdote you could share?
Oh, that's a really good question. A favorite story from this season?
Yeah.
You know, I just think the first day that we got together in June, I think we started with some team building at that point in time. I think the way the summer kind of ended, we had a day at the cottage, and then in between, we just had so much fun together. When I go back, I was actually looking at a video that we're getting ready to show to recruits who come on campus, you know, of all the things that we do together outside of basketball, and it just warms your heart. We couldn't put them all in one video because the video was too long. We had to cut out like the Christmas party and the cookie making and the dress-up contest and all those kind of things, because this group is a group that really just loves being together and spending time together, and it's infectious. It's really something that's very special, and we're really thankful for that.
It was so much fun to watch. It definitely was infectious. I love talking to your players. They're like, we love Donnie P, Donnie P.
Yeah, that nickname, I'm telling you, it's something, isn't it? But they have fun with it. We have fun with it, and we just kind of roll with it. And, you know, I love these young ladies. I think they compete their tails off. On top of that, they're outstanding students in the classroom here at the University of Minnesota. They're great role models, great in the community. So, you know, I feel like Tori's interview at halftime should be kind of what this team is. You know, she's just running around trying to talk really, really fast, and that's just kind of how this team played. And I think that's the reason why this program is going to continue to grow, because we have such special young women in it.
Well, congratulations on all the success this season. Really excited to see what this group accomplishes next year, and it really, really was a joy to watch your team all season long. Thanks so much for the time, Coach. Or
Sounds
Donnie
good. Thank
P.
you.
Can I call you Donnie P? We're on that level
There
yet?
you go. Great.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
Congratulations to Iowa women's wrestler Nanea Estrella, who was selected this week as the inaugural female winner of the Big Ten's Jackie Robinson Community and Impact Award. The award recognizes student athletes whose community service aligns with UCLA grad Robinson's amazing legacy, which each of the conference's 18 schools providing a male and female nominee. Estrella, a native of Hawaii, helped spearhead a donation drive to help victims of the 2023 Lahaina wildfires, raising more than $5,000 for a food bank, along with toys and sports equipment. And Nanea Estrella joins us now. Nanea, congratulations. I know you didn't set out to win any awards here. You were just looking to help fire victims in your home state, but certainly very worthy of getting this recognition. Tell people a little bit about the devastation that those fires caused in Lahaina.
Oh, it is just so heartbreaking what happened with the fires. Overall, there were 2,200 structures that were destroyed, including houses, businesses, residential, big buildings, everything just burned to ash or burned to not even the foundation anymore. And so many people close to me were affected, either mentally, physically losing their house, or just trapped in the fire and having to escape. So having to be on the backside of that and just sitting back and watching the impacts, it was crazy. I was on island at the time when the fires happened. I was supposed to leave a few days afterwards. And it was just the most heartbreaking thing to be so helpless. And I wanted to activate myself to be able to help the community. So it was very heartbreaking. And still to this day, so many impacts have happened. And it's, yeah.
So you said, you mentioned you were on the island in Maui when this happened. You grew up about an hour, I understand, from Lahaina, but went to high school in Lahaina. So it hits even closer to home than would hit for any other Hawaiian, just the notion of this being a kind of a second home for you. Tell me about that day. Like, tell me about when the fires broke out and when people started to realize the scope and devastation of what was going on.
It was a crazy day itself. I was actually having a family barbecue at the time, and I was in contact with family members that were close to me at the time. They were right where the fire started. And I remember getting texts being like, oh yeah, I guess another fire, getting texts like throughout the entire process of it. Another fire broke out because there was a fire previously in the morning that they were able to put out easily. And just getting the texts that, oh, another fire just started, I have to evacuate, and then radio silence after that. And finally, like waiting 24 hours plus to reconnect and not knowing where they were, if they were alive, if they found housing, if they were safe, and then finally being able to talk to them. It was a great, great feeling 24 hours later. But there was so much fear in the heart of Maui, and immediately it started being like, okay, we want to think positive. Like, we want to think, okay, maybe nobody lost their house. But some people were able to get through, get connection, and post videos from the fire on the ground, like breaking news things. And you would see that on social media, and just seeing houses that I passed every day going to high school or being in Lahaina, houses and staples of the community just kind of burning to the ground and to ash. It was seeing that over social media and not being able to be on the ground and help, and hearing that, oh, roads were closed down, people are trying to evacuate, it's bottlenecked, cars are on fire. Like, there's so much fear. And I think everybody on island was just on their toes, and everybody was trying to figure out what they could do to help in such a helpless situation, especially because it was hurricane force winds at the time. So there was nothing that really anybody could do, even air traffic control, anybody could get through to help.
Well, you mentioned that notion of trying to help, and so you eventually went back to Iowa City to continue your studies and to continue your wrestling, and you decided to do something to help the people in your home state. And we were talking a little bit about what that was, raising money for the food bank and toys and sports equipment. Tell me the extent to which the Iowa community, your team, how did everyone pitch in to make your vision the reality that became?
Well, immediately I was able to reach out to Iowa Athletic Department, and I'm so grateful for the help that they gave me. I asked them if they could work with me on maybe creating a fundraiser of some sort or a clothing drive, and immediately they were all hands on deck, and immediate community outreach. My team, they wholeheartedly helped me, supported me. They were some of the biggest donors, donating clothes, donating toys that they had, extra spare things around, just lying around. And the community itself, they gathered around me, and I was able to even reach out to certain companies and certain stores that are very high traffic in Iowa City and put out little donation boxes there. And I just got out like complete pour of just support for my community, and everybody was heartbroken across the nation. And it was, you could see, especially in Iowa, when I was able to tell the stories and tell people exactly what's going on and show how much it impacted me and my community back home and my family, people were jumping to help. And I even had a community member reach out to me, and she did a pie drive, a blind auction, where she baked pies and raise money, and people would bet on the pie, or not bet on the pies, but they would donate money. And she was able to donate all of that to the food drive, and she went half to the food drive and then half to a different fundraiser that the Hawaii community put out. So the outpour of help and support was just amazing. And it really made me feel like I was back at home, because this is the same kind of help and same kind of support that I would get from the Lahaina community and from the Maui community. So to feel that in Iowa, it hit home. It hit my heart really well.
It's truly an amazing story. And you personally are a pretty amazing story. You know, women's wrestling, as you well know, is kind of new to the Big Ten. Iowa's had this program here for a couple of years. Give us a little bit of your backstory. I know you started wrestling when you were 5 years old. What resonated with you about wrestling that got you to this point?
Well, I tend to be a little bit of an aggressive person. I
Okay.
played soccer when I was younger, and I realized very quickly that I am not a very good ball sport person, and I like to be like a little bit aggressive, and wrestling was a very good outlet for me, and I was good for it at my age. And it was just a way for me to kind of just fight in a way that I could fight in a way that was healthy and that was okay. And it was a way for me to be kind of like a tough girl. When I was younger, there wasn't much girls, but Hawaii is one of the biggest women's wrestling communities. They were the first ever state to sanction women's wrestling at the high school level. So I always kind of had a team when I got to the high school level. But when I was younger, I was one of the only girls. And my dad would make me wrestle with the boys. And it was always kind of fun to be like, oh, I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. I'm a lot better than I thought I was. And it was just a way for me to kind of feel empowered. And I liked being strong. I liked being one of the girls that was like, I could do as many pull-ups as the guys in PE class. I could do as many push-ups as the guys in PE class. And I could also flip them on their head if they wanted. And so it was just, that was when I was younger. I thought that that was cool. And then I just got very good at it and I stuck with it. And I realized that I could take it further because there were more and more opportunities that were opening up for me.
Well, those opportunities did open up. I know you started in college in California and then transferred to Iowa when the program began. You went through a couple of really devastating injuries, losing a couple of seasons, one to a very severe concussion, the other to a foot injury. And then this year, you're able to make it through the year and wrestle healthy, and you finished third in the nation in the 138-pound weight class. What did it mean to you to overcome all of that and to have that success that you had?
It was the most surreal moment, finally getting my hand raised in my last match. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit emotional about it. I had such a hard going through college, starting off with COVID and then going into a foot injury, having to relearn how to walk, and then my concussion, having to train my eyes to connect back to my brain because that I lost connection to my brain. And then coming back after that, the fires happening immediately as I started my season, coming back from that, and then breaking my other foot and having to relearn to walk again. It was just felt like boom, 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 hard times, hard times, hard times. But to finally get my hand raised at the end of the season, even if it wasn't exactly the outcome that I wanted, I'm so proud of myself that I was able to overcome all of the adversity that I had faced. It was just heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. And to be able to finally see it come to fruition of me competing a full season and me being healthy and me wanting to continue to wrestle despite everything that I had been through, it just was the most amazing feeling.
Well, Nanea, congratulations on all of that success. And again, you are to be so commended for what you did for your home state. I know you weren't out seeking commendation, but you certainly deserve it. It really is remarkable to make the world a better place in the way that you did it, especially in the face of adversity. So, Nanea, congratulations. Thanks for your time, and we look forward to seeing what's next for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.